Hello friends, welcome to another session. Today we are going to take the physics test 57 NEET test released by NTA. I have solved it right now and what I can say 18 questions were easy, 23 were medium, 4 were tough. Question number 7 had some flaw. Otherwise the paper is perfectly balanced. I say the right paper for the NEET. It doesn't involve much to calculations many times. Many questions are straightforward. Even some concepts are repeated. Let's say the same concept has two questions line by line in the paper. Plus many questions are same as in the previous NTA NEET test. So now it is becoming actually not very interesting for me because I'm seeing the same in this today's test. You can say 7 or 8 questions are exactly the same I did in the previous test. So that was for today. I again say because if you are actually doing the practice now, the score should rise up. For a good average student, it should be 140 plus, and for a very good student, it should be 160 plus for this particular paper. It's not that difficult. One, let's start. So let's start with this test 57. Look at the first question. If tau 1, tau 2, tau 3, tau 4 are the magnetic torque acting on a magnet when it is kept at 30 degrees, 60 degree, 90 degree and 135, then which of the following is correct? You know, torque is maximum at 90 and it is same as theta and 90 minus theta. So you can say the closer to 90, more will be the torque. So 90 is definitely the maximum. So tau 3 is maximum. You get only one option from that, but let me do it again to check what would be the exact result. So tau 3 is going to be the maximum, and then what we'll have, then we'll have at 60 degree, that is tau 4, and then we have at 135 degree, that is, no, sorry, this was tau 2, this is tau 4, and this is tau 1. So not the B, we are getting the option D. There were two, so this is the way. Simply remember the magnitude of the torque. If I plot it, it would be something like this, like a sine curve. Maximum at 90 degree, and here there will be some, let's say this will be 60 degree, this would be 45, same as 135, and 30 would be somewhat or more as smaller. So just remember, closer to the 90, more will be the torque. And here also, if I draw the potential energy, if I draw, that is minus mv that we generally write. So that is what we can write, minus mv cos theta. So minus mv at theta equal to 0 degree and goes to plus mv at 180 degree, or mu b or mb, whatever you write it. So just remember these two things. Next, there's a conductor of resistance 3 ohm and it is stretched uniformly till the length is doubled. Okay. The wire is now bent in the form of equilateral triangle, the effective resistance between any two sides. First of all, because it is stretched, so here volume remains same, we'll assume, so R is not proportional to L. Here we'll say R is proportional to L square. How? Let me remember, this is rho L by A. So multiplying by L both sides, it becomes rho L square by V. I'm assuming the V remains the same, rho remains the same, so R is proportional to L square. So doubling means the resistance is 12 ohms. Now it is bent in the form of an equilateral triangle, so this would be 4, 4, 4, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. So between any two sides, this is 4, and this 4 and 4 in series is 8, and 8 and 4 are in parallel, so 8 into 4 by 12, that is 3. So that comes out as 8 by 3 ohms. So you can do this. This is a very general concept used many a times. Next one. Correct diagram for the determination of internal resistance of a primary cell by a potentiometer is. So what we have a standard resistor in parallel. We can connect it on and off. So looking at the given options, first of all, the positives of the two should be at the same. So this is rejected because here it is positive, here it is negative. It is also rejected. Now we are left with this option. This is also rejected, so only one option is there, and let it be. When key is not inserted, only the E is measured. When key is inserted, then the terminal resistance is measured. So option C is the only correct one. Options are actually not given very smartly. It is very easy to pick out a option from all these four. Next one. Find the steady state current through L1. Steady state, what you know, it becomes a wire. It becomes a wire. So what we will have, okay, so both will become wire here. Not only one, both will become wire because L1 and L2 both will act like a wire here. So let me check, both will act as a wire. So here what we'll have, first of all, the total current drawn from the battery is going to be V naught by R, and because they are in parallel, the result is almost the same like the resistor. So I1 would be equals to I1, okay, through L1. It is written I1, it should be written here. So that I1 should be equals to L2 upon L1 plus L2, like the resistors, into V naught by R. Just remember this. In a series parallel, they almost be, this division is almost the same as we do in the resistors. So it is the option that I'm getting is, this is option C. Okay, I just scrolled over. There's a question left fourth. Let me do it again. Do it. In a series LCR circuit, voltage across each is 10. That means it is in resonance because VC is VL. If capacitance is removed, the voltage across the inductance will be okay. So here, across each is 10. That means V source is also 10 because it is in resonance. Now, if the capacitor is removed, and plus what we have, because all three are equal, it means R is equal to XL is equal to XC. So here initially Z was R. When XC is removed, Z will become R square plus XL square, which would be R square, that is equal to root 2 R. So what we will have current will become I naught by root 2. I naught means that what is the resonance, because Z has increased. So potential across each element will decrease by 1 by root 2. Here capacitance is not there, but across resistor and inductor both would be 10 by root 2 volts that I can write. So it's not a tough one, you can easily make it out. So next, get back to question number after 5. Let's say question number 6. What it has: charges are placed at the vertices of a square as shown in diagram. The charges at A and B are interchanged, okay, with C and D respectively, okay. Uh, so what we'll have, A and B are changed with C and D, so this becomes Q, Q minus Q minus Q. So what we can say, from the symmetry we can say the magnitude of the field will remain same. Look at the direction first. Due to these two, it comes like this, because positive will be repulsive, this is attractive sort, you can imagine. So the net field would be like this. Now instead of that, what we'll have net field now just reversed. So the magnitude will remain same, but the direction will change. So what we'll have, A is wrong, B is wrong, C is right. Only direction is going to change. So it's an easy one, you can make it out. Next, a particle of 2 gram and charge 1 microcoulomb is held at rest on a frictionless surface at distance of 1 from a fixed charge of 1 microcoulomb. The particle is released and is repelled the speed when it is at a distance 10 from the fixed charge. Okay, so what I can make out, it is, let's say, fixed charge q1, this is q2 initially at 1 meter, and now it is going by repulsion and it goes, let's say, from A to B. It starts from rest, so what would be the speed at B that you need to calculate? That is what the question is asking. So you know, it is you can do from energy conservation what I can write, because no external force is acting. External force is acting, but its work is zero because it is fixed. So Ki plus Ui is equal to Kf plus Uf. Ki is 0. So what I can write, K final, that is half mv square, would be equal to K q1 q2, taking common 1 by r1 minus 1 by r2, that I can easily write. So doing this calculation, so half into 2 into 10 to the power minus 3 v square K q1 q2, that is 9 into 10 to the power 9, and what we have, this is 1 microcoulomb, that is 10 to the power minus 12 into 1 by 1 minus 1 by 10. Okay, so this is 10 to the power minus 3, 10 to the power minus 3, whole get cancelled, 2 and 2 get cancelled, so v square is 9 into 9 by 10. So v comes out as 9 by root 10 meter per second, and there is no option. Let me check the calculation. It's 6, and what they have done, they have, okay, they have assumed 1 to be 1 millicoulomb instead of 1 microcoulomb. So 10 to the power 3 factor comes and it becomes 90. So as per this data, no option is coming. It is 9 by root 10. The answer given is wrong. This will be possible when 1 is 1 millicoulomb, not 1 microcoulomb. So there's a mistake in the question, or you can say in the answer, whatever you can write. A closed loop PQRS having a current is placed in uniform field if the magnetic field is F1, F2, F3 respectively on these arms. They are in the plane of the paper and along the direction the force on the segment QB. What do you remember? A current carrying loop experiences zero force in a uniform magnetic field. So what I can write, vector F1 plus vector F2 plus vector F3 plus required, let's say, vector F4, that would be 0. So vector F4 is equal to negative of F1 plus F2 plus F3. That is what we have. Now what is this? F1 and F3 are both in the, let's say, let me have it like, let it be Y or let it be X. So what I can write, it is F1 I cap, sorry, F1 j cap plus F2 I cap minus F3 j cap. So if I do this, it becomes minus of F1 minus F3 j cap minus F2 I cap. So if I take the magnitude of F4, this would be F2 square plus F1 minus F3 or F3 minus F1, whatever you write. So it is coming out as option D. So it's a regular question. You must have done such questions before. Next, cyclotron is accelerating proton when the applied magnetic field potential gap. To acquire kinetic energy, number of turns the protons has to move between the D's. Okay, so what is the number of turns it has to move? So potential gap is given as 100 kilo electronic volts. It has to acquire the energy of 20 meg. So you can say in one, it will what we can write the energy would be. You could recall that 2Ds, we know one rotation mean movement in both Ds. In a single D movement crossing from one to another, it gets 100 kilo electronic volt. So in one turn, in one complete revolution, it crosses that gap two times. So it will get an energy 200 kilo electronic volt because it is charge E in one turn. So how many turns would be required? That I can directly say total energy needed is 20 mega eV. In one rotation it get 200 kilo electronic volts. So what we have now, and this is, I do it 10 to the power 3 in kilo, this is 200, so it comes out to be 100 turns. So the 100 turns it need to make to get that energy. Okay, next. A composite slab consists of two slabs A and B of different materials but of the same thickness placed on top of the other. Okay. The thermal conductivity is K1, K2, steady difference 12 degrees maintained across the slab. If K1 is K2 by 2, the temperature difference across the slab A. So again, it is the same question that type we do yesterday. Let it be A, let it be B. Because K1 is equal to K2 by 2, it is half of that. So if its resistance is R, this resistance is 2R in electrical terms. And what we have total drop of 12. So I can directly say it will have double the drop. So I can divide it 2 by 3. That would be 8-degree drop and it would be 4-degree drop. So across the slab A, it is definitely going to be 8 degrees one. Next one. An ideal gas in the state is isothermally expanded to state this. Then it is adiabatically compressed to initial volume, the pressure being V3 in the final state. If W is the work done in the whole process, then again this is a similar question being asked many a times. What we have first, it is expanded like this, isothermally. This is P1, this is V1, this is V2, this is P2. Now adiabatically compressed to same volume. When it is adiabatically compressed, we know for same change in volume, change in pressure would be more. More means it's a slope we say is more, it would be something like this. So it would be like this. So you can directly say this area is lesser, that area is greater. So work overall is going to be negative because positive work is lesser than the negative one. So W is negative and what we have P3 is greater than P1. So just as simple things that you need to remember. If you are thorough with the thermodynamics, it should not worry you much. Next. Cyclic process is given in the VT diagram, the same process in the PV diagram. Again, curve transformation, similar questions are coming in every test now. First of all, this is a straight line through origin, so pressure is constant. So A to B is isobaric. First of all, I can say A to B is definitely going to be an isobaric one. So this is rejected, and this is rejected, and this is rejected. So what we are left with, we are left with only one choice. And let's say checking it again, B to C, it is isochoric, yes it is, and C to A, it is isothermal, it is looking like that. So option A is the most appropriate. Now moving to the next one, question number 13, again thermodynamics. What I have, initial pressure volume of a gas gamma 1.5 is P and V, expanded isothermally and then compressed adiabatically. It is almost the same thing that we have done. Now we have to do that question in some data point. So what we have, this was P and V. Now isothermally expanded, because it is isothermal, you know it, if it becomes 4V, it will become 1/4, that would be P by 4, that you all know. Now adiabatically compressed to V. Yeah, let me first draw it again, and let's say this was the isotherm, and now when I draw the adiabat, it would be like this, it going like this. So this is the P final I need to remember. So what I will write between these 2 points, and what I will have, P by 4 into 4V to the power 1.5 would be equal to P final into V to the power 1.5. PV to the power gamma is constant. So P final is P by 4 into 4 to the power 3 by 2. This is equals to 2P. That you can write. So this is the option B, not a tough one for you. Next one. So you have a 2 question on similar concept. Now, One end of a long wire L is tied to the ceiling, other end to the spring. A mass M hangs freely. This is again the repetition of that. When you have this wire and then you have this spring. I take the wire also as a spring and I let it be K1 and let it be K2. Both are in series. So 1 upon K equivalent that I will write is 1 upon K of a spring, plus for the rod I can write K is equal to AY by L if you remember. So that is L upon AY. So what is the time period? Time period is 2 pi root m by k equivalent. So what is 1 by k equivalent? Will substitute it. It will become 1 by k plus L upon AY. So now you can make it out. This is a similar question we already did. So this comes out as option B. So again, not a tough one. And if you are doing NTA test, you should now be thorough with such concept. Now, this is again a repetition. Temperature of equal masses of three different liquids A, B, C, 12, 19, 28. A and B are mixed 16 degree, B and C mixed 23, A and C are mixed. So I remember it is 20.25. Let me do it again. It's actually very now demotivating to solve a question again and again, but let me do it again. So first A and B, this was 12 degree and this was 19 degree and it comes to 16 degree. So what is the heat gained by A? That is equal to mass is same. So M into S of A into gained is 4. That is equal to M. SB loses 3. So heat lost is heat gain. I have done. So 4SA is equal to 3SB. Then what you mixed B and C. So B and C that was at 19 degree and 28 degree and mixing was 23. So what is and this is A, not A, no, this was B. So SB has gained 4 and C has lost 5. So 4 SB is 5 SC. Now A and C are mixed. So this is 12 degrees and this is 28 degrees. Let the final be T. So what we have gained by it is SA into T minus 12. Lost by it would be SC into 28 minus T. Put SA in terms of SB from above. This is 3 SB by 4. T minus 12. This would be 4SB by 5 into 28 minus T. So what we will have, multiplying that, SB get cancelled. This is doing it here, 15T minus 180. That would be 16 into 28. So 16 8s are what I have, 144. And not 144, what I have, 16 8s is 128, sorry. So 128 and 16 to 32 and 12 448 minus what I have 16T. So what I have 31T is equal to 448 plus 180, that is 8 and 4 12, 628. So T is 628 by 31, definitely 20 point something to 20.25 degrees Celsius. That is going to be my answer. So this is again the repetition. Next one. Speed of transfers given a string of density and area under a tension of this standard formula. Again, this formula is used many times. T by mu. Mu we write as rho A. T is what? 10 to the power 3. Rho is 100 kg per meter square. Okay. It is 100 kg per meter square. I think it should be meter cube for me. Otherwise, the things won't be that easy to do. Let me try by this. An area of cross section is given 10 mm square. So 10 mm square area is given. So 10 mm square means 10 to the power minus 5 I can write. So what we have now, this becomes 10 to the power minus 3, 10 to the power 6, so 10 to the power 3 meter per second. It should be meter cube. That should be the correction in the question. Now check up the only correct statement in the following. Let me check. Body as a constant speed still can have a varying speed. No, constant velocity means magnitude, direction both constant. Yes, B is right. In the circular motion, uniform circular motion, it has a constant speed, but direction changes, so it has a varying speed. So it's an easy one for you. It's very easy basically. Car A of mass 1000 kg moves on a circular path with speed 16. It is turned by 90 degree after traveling 628 meters. That centripetal force acting on the car is. Now it is going with constant speed 90 degree. 90 degree means like this, because then the velocity turns by 90 degree. So it means it is the quarter of the circle. The distance covered is pi root by 2 is equal to 628. So radius comes out as 628 into 2 by 3.14. It comes out as 200 into 2, 400 meters. So it says traveled 400 meters is a radius. Now centripetal force you all know is equal to mv square by r. M is 1000 and what we have v square 16 into 16 and radius is 400. This get cancelled. 16 into 16 256, so that is 2560 by 4. So this comes out as 6 and 40 640 newtons. So go for option C, not a tough one for you. Next, question number 19 now. Particle is moving on rough horizontal ground with an initial velocity v naught. If 3/4 of kinetic energy is lost due to friction in time t naught, then the coefficient of friction between the particle and the ground is okay. In time t naught, 3/4 of the kinetic energy is lost. That means 3/4 means 3 by 4 of half m v naught square. That is the work done negative. That would be equal to minus fk into what I can say. Okay, in time t, so let me first, this is the change in loss in kinetic energy, I can say. So just write delta k loss, first write it magnitude only. This comes out as 3 by 8 mv naught square. Okay, so now it has left with 1/4 energy, means speed becomes v naught by 2. So it v naught to v naught by 2 comes in t naught. So what I can write, v naught by 2 is equal to v naught minus acceleration, we can write as mu kg. You are very much familiar. So this t naught I can write as v naught upon 2 mu k g. That is what I can write. So v naught upon 2 mu k g I can write. So you need to remember this thing. This is what you're supposed to answer. So coefficient of friction mu k would be v naught upon 2 g t naught. So go for option A. That is the thing. Question number 20. A block of mass 70 kg is kept on a rough horizontal surface. Coefficient of static friction is 0.4. Trying to pull the block by applying a force of the surface F. Okay, surface exerts a force F and it is trying to pull. Trying to pull, that means it is basically not getting pulled. So that F from surface, that is a reaction force, we write it as n square plus friction square. Now normal force in vertical would be 700 plus Fs square. Now Fs can vary from 0 to 0.4, means 0.4 of 700, that is 280. So what we can have, minimum it would be 700 and maximum, if I to find out, it is 700 plus 280 square. So what I can have, 700 plus 280 square, I can take 70 square common, that is 70 common, it becomes 10 square plus 4 square. 10 square plus 4 square, that is root 116. So root 116, if I do, it is 10 point something, so it would be, might be 754. So definitely the option C seems to be the most appropriate one for me. Okay, so that is what you can do. Next, block of mass m is stationary with respect to wedge of mass m moving with a uniform speed v on a horizontal surface. Find the work done by friction force on the block in t seconds. So what is the work done by the friction force on the block in t seconds? Okay, so you have to find out how much work it has done. Draw the FBD. If I draw this FBD, what I will see, because it is going ahead, first of all, it has a tendency to go down, so friction would be acting like there, and in the meantime the block is going in like this. So displacement is in this direction like this. Here friction is there, angle made is what we can write, this is theta. Actually the angle is 180 minus theta, so the work done would be F into S into cos of 180 minus theta, which you can write as negative minus Fs cos theta. And F, you know, because it is not moving, F would be equal to mg sin theta. And now what is the distance traveled? Distance traveled is equal to Vt cos theta. So if I do this, this is minus mg sin theta Vt cos theta. So if I do 2 sin theta cos theta is sin 2 theta. So this option B seems to be the most appropriate one for me. Next one. There is a square plate of HD, okay, and a circular disc of diameter d are placed touching each other at the midpoint. Then the center of mass of the combination will be, again the CM question that you are getting. So you know individual CMs are like this. Okay, so where it would be now, so first of all let me calculate the ratio of their masses. So mass of the disk to mass of the square plate, that would be equal to its area, because the density will be same as per the question. So its area is pi d square by 4, its area is d square, so that is pi by 4. Now with respect to this, I can use this two particle CM theory. So d of CM from the center of the disk would be mass of a square into this gap. This gap would be d by 2 plus d by 2, that is going to be d upon mass of disk plus mass of square. So if I do this, this becomes d upon md by ms plus 1. So what we have, d upon md by ms, that is pi by 4 plus 1. So what I will have, 4d upon pi plus 4, and it is to the right to the center of the disk. So option C seems to me the most perfect one. Next one. Next, The position and the velocity of two particles are as shown at t equal to 0. They are kept on smooth surface and being mutually attracted. Okay. Then the position of the CM. We know because it is mutual attraction, CM velocity won't change. So first of all, where is the CM right now? Where is the CM right now? Because both mass is same. So initial x of CM is x initial of CM, or x CM initial, what you write is 5 centimeter. And now what is VCM? VCM would be 1 into 5, taking this direction as positive, that is 1 into minus 3 upon 2, that is equal to 1 meter per second. So it goes by 1 meter per second, so in 2 seconds it will shift by right, so it would be at 7 meters. So again an easy one and not a tough one for you. Next, nucleus moving with velocity v emits an alpha. If the velocity of alpha and the remaining nucleus be v1, v2 and their masses are respectively, then first of all we know the v1 and v2, they must be parallel. That's not always needed because it is initially moving. So what we can say, initial movement is, let's say, like this. Now we can have both like this, moving like this. We can also have situation there, the net momentum comes out to be that. So what we can basically write, we can say m of alpha into v1 plus m of remaining nucleus into v2, that is equal to total mass initial into v. That should be the result. So what we can say, this v must be parallel to not v1 plus v2, it must be parallel to m1 v1 plus m2 v2. That should be the most appropriate answer. Next one. Particle moves in a circle of radius 0.25 meter at angular speed of 2 revolution per second. The acceleration 2 revolution. Revolution means 2 pi radian per second. So what I can have, this is 4 pi radian per second. That is what I am getting. So centripetal acceleration is omega square r. So 16 pi square into r square, that is 1 by 4 I can write. So 4 pi square is the answer. Go for option C. Next one. If the change in the value of acceleration due to gravity at height h above the surface is the same as the depth x below it, when both are smaller, you have directly know going above g is written as g naught 1 minus 2h by r for small changes. For going down, it is written as 1 minus d by r. So for both to be same, 2h must be equals to d. That should be equal to 2h must be equals to d. So what we have, x is equals to 2h. Directly you can write. This is a very general concept taught everywhere. An artificial satellite moving in circular orbit has a total energy E naught, its potential energy. What you can write, total energy E is equals to mod of total energy E naught is equal to K, that is equal to U naught by 2. So U naught will be 2 E naught. I can directly write, there's no doubt in it. Bohr model, satellite, both are like the same. Next, particle is acted by this force. Initially the particle is at rest at origin, then. So what is this? It says SHM. No, it is not SHM because SHM is F equal to minus kx. This t square will make the things not very nice. So just differentiate it. So first of all, if I differentiate it, df by dt, if I do df by dt, that is m dA by dt for me, because mass will be remaining constant. That would be equals to not, that would be equals to t square. T square means t square is what I can write, 2t minus k dx by dt. That is what I can write, dx by dt. That dx by dt is what we can write it as. That is the whatever it is, basically the velocity I can write. So again differentiating it, what we will have, m d2a upon dt2 would be 2. This goes down, that is minus k, and what we will have, dx by dt, that was velocity. Velocity derivative would be dv by dt, or what I can have, m d2a upon dt2, it is equals to 2 minus k times a. So this is basically, if I treat a as x, this is the hallmark SHM equation for basically what we can say, it's not it's hallmark equation you can say for x becomes a. So acceleration is will be SHM, not the position or not the velocity. So option C is the only correct one. Rest all are already, you can say, are not possible. Next one. In an experiment to find the loss of energy with respect to time in case of swinging pendulum, the graph between amplitude square and time. So this is the question that they wrongly asked in one of the paper before. If I can remember, this a square by t, this is the exponentially decreasing curve that we get. So option A is the most appropriate one. This is the experiment or the activity that was in your syllabus. I don't know whether it is right now or not. Previously it was used to be there. A ball falling in a lake of 200 meters shows a decrease of 0.1 meter per second in its volume. It is the same thing that we did almost yesterday. So the volume is 0.1 meter decrease in the volume, the bulk modulus of elasticity of the material is. So the additional pressure that has been applied is equal to rho gh. Rho gh is 10 to the power 3 into 10 into 200. So it comes out as 2 into 10 to the power 6 meter, Newton per meter square. And what we know, delta rho by rho equals to delta P by B. So bulk modulus would be, if I do this, delta rho by rho is given as 0.1%, that is 0.1 by 100, and divided by this 2 into 10 to the power uh, 6. Okay, I've written it wrong. I have to calculate bulk modulus. Numerator would be delta P, that is 2 into 10 to the power 6, and it is 0.1%. So 0.1% means 0.1 by 100. So it comes out as 2 into 10 to the power, what I can have, 9, because 8 and 3, 9, 2 into 10 to the power 9 Newton per meter square. This is for B. Now, next one. Very narrow capillary records a rise of 20 when dipped in water when the area of cross section is reduced to 1/4 of the former value. So what we know, uh, area of cross section is proportional to r square and the height is inverse to r. So height is inverse to r. So area reduced to 1/4. So radius has become half. So radius is half. So h will become double. So it will go for 40 centimeters. Next, go for the next one. 30 seconds. Moment of inertia of a disk about an axis passing through its center and normal to its plane is I. The disk is now folded along a diameter such that two halves are mutually perpendicular. Okay, so it is something like this. And the second one will be like this. It is both like this. One is in this plane, one is in this plane. Its moment of inertia about its diameter will now be, okay, so initially, now look at it. First of all, this I would be mr square by 2 because it is about a axis normal to that. Now, look at this. This is still diameter for this one, this is still diameter for this one. So I can say if it was like that, the I in both cases will be same because both half are symmetric. So this I dash would be equal to about diameter is mr square by 4. I can write it as I by 2. So just remember this analogy and this will help you do this. Next one. What we have, three identical blocks placed on horizontal surface B and C at rest. A approaches B with speed 10. Restitution coefficient is for all is 0.5. The speed of the block C just after the collision is. So here I do the general thing for A and B and the same thing I can repeat for B and C. So for A and B, this is A, this is B. Both are having same mass. It comes with speed U. It was at rest. Let's say after collision it is VA and it is VB. So first of all, restitution equation says VB minus VA is E times U minus 0 first. Second, momentum conservation m times U plus 0 initial momentum, that would be MVA because mass are same, plus MVB, that is second. So what I can have, adding these two, like say adding these two sides, what I will get, VA can get cancelled. 2VB is equal to E plus 1U. So VB comes out as E plus 1, that is 1.5 by 2U, that is 3 by 4U. Okay, so similar analogy would be there. Now V will become U, so VC will become 3 by 4 of this VB, and this VB means 3 by 4 of U. That is 9 by 16 of U. That is 9 by 16 into 10, that comes out as 90 by 16. It is 5.6 meter per second. Go for option A. Next, move on. What we have, a beam of alpha particles you are given. So beam of alpha particles is incident like the Geiger-Marsden experiment is given, and emergent are AV dash B dash C. Transmission and deflection is this. So you know most of them went and deviated, very few go with large deviation. So what I can say, it would be the number of alpha particles in A dash is maximum and B dash is minimum. 35th. According to Bohr model, magnetic field at center of a hydrogen atom due to motion of electron is. So what we say, the magnetic field, let me write it like this, B is mu naught I by 2R because of the ring, and what we know, I is proportional to V by R. Okay, because what we write, I is equal to E by T is 2 pi R by V. So it's something like this. So what we have, B effectively is proportional to V by R square. Now V is proportional to Z by N, R is proportional to N square by Z. So for N, it is 1 by N, R square means N to the power 4. So it becomes 1 upon N to the power 5. So go for option B. Next one. The activity of a radioactive element decreased to 1/3 of its original in 9 years after a lapse of further 9 years. So we did it yesterday also. I told you an important concept. If it is I naught and it is I naught by x after time t, so after time 2t it will become I naught by x square. So here it will become I naught by 3 square, that is I naught by 9. So go for option C, again an easy one for you. 37th. What we have, the stopping potential as a function of frequency of incident radiation is plotted for two different surfaces A and B. So looking at it clearly, this has a lower threshold frequency, so it has a lower work function. So directly I can go for option B. Next, according to Einstein photoelectric equation, graph between kinetic energy of photoelectrons ejected and frequency, it is the same. Stopping potential curve, like it becomes the same. So again, C option, below threshold, no kinetic energy Kmax, but after that it increases linearly with the frequency. So again, an easy one. Next, the following shows a logic gate with two inputs A, B, output C, voltage waveform ABC are shown. So look at it. It is 1 when both are 1. It is 1 when both are 1. Okay, so rest all combination are 0. That means it is an AND gate. That's easy one for you. Next, in a common base emitter transistor circuit, current gain is 0.98. Here, you know this 0.98 would be equal to delta IC by delta IE. Now, collector current is changed by 5 milliampere. Sorry, emitter current, the change in collector current I can do directly from here. 5.00 into 0.98. So if you do this, 98 5s are 490, that is 4.9 milliampere. I can directly write. So option C. Next, common emitter transistor amplifier, current gain given, load resistance given, input resistance, voltage gain. You can directly write voltage gain as current gain into resistance gain. 50 into resistance gain, that is 4000 upon 500. So this is 10. This comes out as 400. What we have now, after 41st, we'll go for 42nd. Calculate the dispersive power of the crown glass from the given data. Now, I told you yesterday this is given as mu v minus mu r into a upon mu y or mu mean. I should write a get cancelled, and mu mean I generally write it as mu v plus mu r by 2. Doing this, what I'll get mu v minus mu r. First of all, subtract these two. So this is 10 and 5 5. This will be 12 and 4 8. This is 1 and 1 0 0 0.0085. Okay, and the average, if I average, I will do what it is, 5 7 3 3.0375. Okay, I'm getting like this, divided by 2, so it would be 1.5187. I can write, so this would be 0.5187. So if I do this, this approximately is 0.0163. I should not write degree as per me. This degree notation is not right, but let's go for this option now. 43rd. The face AC of a prism ABC of refracting angle 30 degrees silvered. A ray is incident on face AB at an angle of 45 as shown. The refracted ray undergoes reflection at path AC and retraces path the refractive index. Because it retraces, this angle is 90 degree, that is given, it is incident normally. This angle is 60, so this becomes 30. Apply Snell's law, 1 into sine 45 degree, that is equal to n into sine 30. Okay, so 1 by root 2, n, that is half, so simply n is equal to root 2. Go for it. Easy one for you, you must have done such. Beam of wavelength 600 nanometer from distance so falls on single slit, so diffraction, resulting diffraction of around 2 meter. Distance between that first dark, this is question straight away. Yesterday it was also there. You know, first dark fringe is at lambda L by A above, lambda L by A below. So this is 2 lambda L by A. Do it 2.4 mm. I remember the answer. This is third or fourth time the same question is coming in these tests. It came yesterday also. I'm not going to solve now. 45th. Two polarides are placed in the path of an unpolarized beam such that no light is emitted. No light is emitted means clearly crossed polarides. If this has this axis, this would be like this at 90 degree. Now, this is the third one. Come to mediate. Now it comes to mediate, and it makes an angle theta with the first one, like say like this. If it makes theta with the first one, it will make 90 minus theta with the second one. So now this was I naught. Because it was unpolarized, it would be I naught by 2. Because this angle is theta, this would be I naught by 2 incident cos square theta. Now this is incident. So finally, what would be I naught by 2 cos square theta is incident. This angle is 90 minus theta between 2 and third. So it would be cos square of 90 minus theta, that is sin square theta. So what I get, I naught by 2 cos square theta sin square theta. Now looking at the option sin 2 theta, so let's say multiply divide by 4. It is I naught by 8. 4 cos square theta sin square theta can be written as sin square 2 theta. You know that sin 2 theta is 2 sin theta cos theta. So go for option B. So this was the today's test. So keep sharing the channel to the aspirants. Thanks for watching.